Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to be replacing this toilet with a new one. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come over and we're going to turn the water supply line off. Make sure it closes all the way so you don't have any water leaking. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down underneath here and we're going to remove these two screws that hold the toilet to the floor. We're going to loosen up our supply line right here. We're going to make sure we have a bucket below it to catch the water. And then we're going to drain the toilet out before we get started. Now we're going to grab our utility knife and we're going to cut around on the silicone that's below the toilet where the tile and the toilet come together. We're going to cut with the utility knife along there until we can get the silicone out of the way. Now in this particular case it feels like there's cement underneath there, so it could be grout underneath there as well. But we're going to cut the caulking all the way around first, and then we're going to try to remove the toilet and we'll see how it goes. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that bucket down underneath the shut-off valve, and we're going to remove the supply line from the toilet so we can make sure we drain everything out. We did flush the toilet already, so we let all the water out of the tank itself, and now we're going to drain it into this bucket, and once it finishes draining out, then we can start to remove the rest of it. But make sure it drains out thoroughly, and at this point you want to make sure the toilet tank is empty as well. Okay, now we take our pair of adjustable pliers and we loosen up the supply line where it connects onto the toilet itself. And we're going to take that line totally out to avoid it getting hooked on anything when we try to lift it up and out. Make sure you have your bucket down the bottom to catch any residual water that's in the tank. And after all the water drains out of the bucket, we're going to remove the tank from the top of the toilet just because it's going to make it easier to carry it around and get it out of the house without making too much of a mess. So in this case, we're going to use an adjustable pair of pliers to just remove those two screws. There's one on this side and there's one around on the other side. And once we remove these, then we can lift the tank up and off and we can get rid of it. Once the bolts are out, we put our bucket here. We're going to lift the tank up, put it in top of the bucket just so we don't make a mess in the area where we're going to be working. We'll let it drain out and we'll dispose of it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the bolts that hold the toilet to the floor itself. We're going to take them out. We're going to take off that washer that's with it as well, and then we'll remove the toilet from the floor. Remember, you have two of them, one on the left side, one on the right side, so make sure you get them both out and to get those washers out of there before we go any further. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove all of that silicone that's around the base of the toilet so that when we lift it off, it'll come off fairly easy. Now in this case here, for some reason, they actually have cement or grout below it, but we'll just pry it out and then we'll lift the toilet off. Once we have the toilet out of there, we're going to clean off all of the caulking that's underneath there. But in this particular case, for some reason, I don't know why, they actually glued the toilet to the tile floor. I have no idea why, but somebody did. All right, so we're going to scrape it all off until it's nice and clean, and that way we have a good surface for the new toilet to go onto. Scrape the wax ring off, and we're going to get rid of all of that material. We'll try not to let any fall down in the toilet itself, and we'll get rid of it. Next thing we're going to do is, you see these bolts that stick through there? We're going to take these bolts and we're going to rotate them and slide them around in the slot and lift them out, being careful not to drop them so they won't lose them down the toilet. We are going to replace them with new, so it doesn't really matter. So we'll just get that out of there, continue cleaning it, and once it's clean, we'll put it back together. All right, we're going to use our new bolts now. We're going to slide them in that slot where we previously cleaned it out, put it in the 3 o'clock position, slide a little locking tab over the top that holds the bolt in position, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the one at the 9 o'clock position too. After we get those two in place, we're going to slide the wax ring in place, and then we're ready to take the toilet, put the toilet on top, and then rock it back and forth until it seats properly. All right, our wax ring is in place, the toilet comes in. We have the helper line it up exactly over the bolts so we don't damage the new wax ring that we just put on there. We're going to make sure it lines up on both left and right side. Push it down, and once you're sure, then you push it down all the way. And we're going to rock it back and forth until it's flush with the floor. That crushes the wax O-ring down so that it's actually a nice tight fit, and we're not going to have any leakage whatsoever. All right, so once we're sure it's nice and tight, we're going to come in and we're going to put our washer and nut back on. Then we put our plastic washer on, and the plastic washer is very important because the decorative cap actually connects onto it, and it holds the decorative cover over the top of the bolt, so you're not seeing the bolt and the nut showing through. All right, so on goes the plastic washer. We then put our metal washer over the top. We screw the nut on by hand as tight as we can, all the way down until it touches. Then we go to the opposite side at the 3 o'clock position, and we do the exact same thing over there. And then we snug it down till it's snug. We're not going to make it real tight because we don't want to crack the toilet and break it. So just turn it until it's snug and you're ready for the next step. Next, we turn the tank upside down, put our washer on, the rubber washer that comes with the new unit, push it down until it goes no further, and then we're going to take the tank and set it on top of the toilet base, and we have our bolts that we're going to bolt it through with our washers on it. Lift the tank on top of the toilet, and we're going to put the bolts right straight through. Remember, you have the rubber washer on first, and the goes through the top of the tank itself until it comes out through the bottom. And then we'll position the tank up on top of the base and line up the 2 screws that we just put through there. All right, and then once we have it down in there and it's set into position, we're going to take the other washer and nut that came with it, and we're going to screw that on. That's the washer, that's the nut. On goes the washer and the nut, and we're just going to catch it lightly for now, and then we'll come back with a screwdriver and a wrench and we'll tighten it up later on. But for now, we're just going to catch the one, and then we'll go around to the other side, and we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. We're going to catch the washer and the nut on the other side, and then we're going to tighten it down so that the tank itself is nice and level on top of the base of the toilet. We're not going to over-tighten it because we don't want to crack anything and break it, so just snug it down until it's even, and you're good to go. Yep. Next, we'll hold the screw on the top and we'll tighten it up with the ratchet down on the bottom. And we're going to alternate from left side to right side so that we make sure the tank tightens down on top of the base nice and even. Okay. Once we have that tightened down, we're going to grab our supply line and we're going to install our supply line. Now remember, when you're putting the supply line on, the supply line doesn't have to be tight. You just have to hold it so it's perfectly straight when it comes out. You don't want it going on crooked. Then we're going to snug it down. Remember, inside the supply line is actually a rubber washer inside there. So we don't need to make it real tight because you'll damage the washer. We just need to bring it down until it touches it, and then we just go a little bit further past that point to make sure that we don't have any leaks from the connection between the valve and the new hose we're installing. All right, so we're going to snug it up. All right, once it's snug, then we'll come in here and we'll tighten it up on the bottom of the tank itself, and that you can tighten up as tight as you can by hand. Make sure your supply line goes in nice and straight. Yep. And once you have it all screwed on nice and tight, we're going to come in here, we're going to turn our valve on very, very slowly, just in case you have any leaks in there. If there's a leak, at that point you want to close the valve and just snug it down a little bit tighter. But as you can see here, we don't have any leaks. We're just going to open it up all the way now, and we're going to let the tank itself fill up all the way. All right, so it's filling up nice. We're going to make sure we look underneath after it fills up all the way to make sure that we don't have any leaks underneath any of the joints at all. After it's filled up all the way, we're going to just look around to make sure we have no leaks anyplace. We're going to look around to make sure that the seals are all nice and tight, that our supply line is not leaking, making sure that the bolts that secure the tank to the toilet base itself is nice and dry. And if everything looks good, then we should be in good shape. We're going to test it now just to make sure that it goes down properly and that it shuts off at the proper height when it fills up. Next, we're going to get ready to put our decorative cap on top, but these bolts are a little bit too long. When you put the decorative cap on top of it, it's going to hit into the cap and it's not going to push down and snap onto the plastic base correctly. So we're going to cut it with the hacksaw. We're just going to cut it about 3/4 of the way through, and then we'll get in here with a wrench or a pair of pliers, and we'll just rock it back and forth, and we'll pull it off. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the opposite side too. Just make sure when you're cutting it that you don't touch the toilet with the hacksaw and damage it. All right, then on goes our plastic cap, the decorative cover, and that's it. Perfect. You can't see the bolt. It looks really good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our silicone, and we're going to silicone where the tile meets the toilet. Right in that small area right there, we're going to put a bead of silicone around the entire base unit, just so that it's actually sealed up all the way. We are going to leave a very small area open in the back, just in case we have any kind of leakage. We'll know right away, and it won't be leaking down through into the another part of the house or in the basement or whatever. So we leave the back part open, just a very, very slight opening in the back against the wall, sort of about maybe an inch to 2 inches back there, just in case you have a leak. And we're going to put the silicone around the whole thing. And once we finish that, this job should be just about done. So let's put the silicone around and then continue it. Next, we grab the toilet seat. We put the plastic bolts that are provided with the seat, put it on there through the top. We grab the nut that's on the bottom, screw it on by hand as tight as we can. Then we come up in here with a Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver, whichever works for you. We hold the bottom nut against the toilet on the bottom, and then we just rotate the top screw until it tightens up all the way. And then once we do that, we'll do the exact same thing on the other side, and we'll screw that down all the way as well. Put the nut through the bottom, put our screwdriver in it, whether it's flat or Phillips, it's personal preference. Tighten it down until it's snug. We do not have to make these real tight. We're just going to snug them down, and that should be it. Next thing we do is the caps are going to push down over the top of where the bolts went through, so that way you won't even see it. We'll push the caps down, and then that's it. This job should be finished. All right, that's the finished job. As you can see, it actually is perfect. Just take your time, make sure you have no leaks inside the system, and you should be good to go. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.